All right, so here's one that I just took down from my office. It's got a really cool story. I've kept it up there because I'm being a little particular about where it ends up because I really love this guitar. So maybe 6 months ago, I had some refinished Stratocasters that were awesome, but their time had expired, and I was walking past a showcase going, what can I do with these that, I just kind of make them a little bit more exciting. And I had this kind of crazy idea that I knew was gonna piss off some vintage purists, but would also probably ring the bell of a couple of cats too. So I took these guitars and I got a hold of my buddy, David Bonvillain. He was finishing up a big project with Ibanez and Steve Vai, he's Steve's guy. David and I were introduced from Mark from Lamb of God, who's an awesome cat, guitar guy, obviously. And we got on the phone, all three of us, and I said, what do you think about this? I wouldn't do it to a collector's grade guitar, but something like this is like, why not? It hasn't been done before, and it's only been done at Emerald City Guitars. David and I have done a couple of these, and they have turned out ridiculously cool. The other one sold immediately to one of the biggest rock stars on the planet, which is kind of a test to like, is this cool or am I out of my mind? So here we go, a 1965 Fender Stratocaster with the David Bonvillain finish. David's process is masterful. Dealing with him has been such a pleasure. He's just one of the coolest individuals I've ever had the honor of collaborating with. Step by step, man, his enthusiasm, excitement, it's so contagious. It's been an absolute blast. We're like laughing over the phone, throwing things back and forth, ideas, and man, he's the one to do it. This isn't like somebody with a rattle can put it together. This is the guy that is responsible for doing the biggest brands who are known for this finish. So I think it's the only appropriate way to get that done is have David Bonvillain do a crazy swirl finish. So 1965 Fender Stratocaster. This is a really good Strat. It's got a couple things here and there, but again, you gotta draw the line between collector's grade, and if it was just refinished, I'd even be kind of on the fence about what to do, but it had enough going on with it. It was a perfect candidate. This one just turned out awesome. We went back and forth. We wanted a lot of pink, a lot of green, and different lights and black light. These things just look crazy, It's something so different. And we're gonna be doing several more of these. They won't be listed online. I think we're just kind of keeping them at the shop. Call us if you want details. It's kind of an exclusive thing. And we also just want to know who these are going to keep track of them. It's a fun deal, man, and it works to me. I know it's absolutely crazy. I know some of you are gonna see this and say that is the most hideous thing. You're out of your freaking mind. I get it. There's times in my life I might have thought the same thing, but we think it's pretty cool and different, and why not? Let's mix things up. So I'm gonna let David go over his process and his experience taking on this weird project, and after that we're gonna hand it over to Aaron Hebert, king of the strings.
I started painting guitars about 5 years ago now. I was always a fan of the early 90s swirly Steve Vai Ibanez guitars. I had finally scored a couple, kind of right before all the pandemic lockdown stuff. They were damaged. The finish on those things, when they take a hit, it can delaminate and crack like an eggshell. So I started obsessing about how that painting technique worked, and that had opened the doors to all other kinds of sort of water art techniques, and it sort of spun out of control from there. I started painting guitars for friends and family, painting Amazon bodies and pieces of wood to get the technique to work. I made them basically for artists that I liked or that I admired their playing, or friends. I actually had toured with Slayer for a little while and got to spend a lot of time with those guys, as well as all the other bands that were supporting that tour. So I made some for the guys in Lamb of God, one for Gary Holt, who is Exodus as well as Slayer, and some for Kerry King. In fact, a couple that are out there that he tours with right now. Steve Vai reached out to me and said he loved what I was doing, and I made one for Joe Satriani, who I still work with now. We do charity pieces every year, and so I've gotten to work with all my favorite artists, and it's just really something that I thought was fun and still enjoy every possible second of. When Steve and I kind of developed a relationship, my obsession was wanting to paint a run for Ibanez, and that to be my sort of legacy into the guitar community, and that turned into these. We did a couple hundred of these things. It was a ton of work because I have another job in the cybersecurity industry as a software executive, sort of. I guess not sort of, I mean, yeah. I'm an executive at a software company. So this is a 57 Strat. I've always loved vintage Strats and specifically 57s. And I was gonna get a refin and, you know, save a little bit of dough versus an original. It was red, and my intent was to strip it all down, and I was gonna, you know, make it look all crazy. And once I started taking the finish off, it still had the original guts underneath it, which meant I needed to then find another 57 that I could refin. So I did. That one did not have the original finish under it, so I stripped that shit down. So I did a pink paisley sort of style with a black overshoot, and then scraped a bunch of the black off and thought it looked awesome. That started me kind of at least being willing to mess with vintage stuff and, you know, refins. I'm not trying to strip any original finishes or anything. Or Trevor hit me up and started sending me some vintage pieces, sort of dialed in a process that works really well for doing vintage guitars, and, you know, with really thin nitro coats. And yeah, it's fun. Like, it's a little bit weird, and you got to be, you know, really careful working on stuff that's, you know, 50, 60 years old. But yeah, they're badass. And if it's already refinned, great. Like, it seems like it's kind of open season. Everybody just, you know, they're gonna refinish it in Daphne blue or black, right? And there's enough, you know, just blue and black guitars out there. Like, there can be a handful that are just over the top, super obnoxious. And that's my thing.
So we built this shop basically just to do the Ibanez project. We're about to build another one over on the other side of the property and move all the woodworking and get band saws and a sanding robot.
This is served as well, 1,800 or so square feet, I think.
Booth where we do all the spraying. Get a motorcycle in there if we needed to. Just getting these panels done for Amplified Nation. In fact, I think Trevor and the guys at EC stole Taylor's gear too. Those are cool amps. A couple of buddies' Strats, one of my prototypes, Universe, one of the gems that we do as the blue multicolors. We find some old beat up blue florals from way back when and strip them down and, you know, make them crazy. This is currently our sanding, kind of polishing area, and then we do the artwork in the back room. But Trevor's going to be my exclusive vintage outlet, which, I mean, honestly, those are super fun, and I love working with those guys. So, I mean, that may be almost all I do. But no, I got a project with Dean. We're going to do a few of the Kerry King kind of lava, magma, blood things that he's out on tour with. I've got another project kind of in the hopper with Steve, and potentially one with Joe, and we got some charity piece that I'm going to be wrapping up, so that'll drop right before or right after the first of the year. So yeah, I mean, staying busy, and you know, I'm looking forward to 2025.